Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the recent breakout that Bitcoin just had. This is a very bullish sign for crypto because it basically shows that there is a lot of buy support still in the market, and it also shows that the market is most likely going to continue to trend up from here. During this next leg up, there could be a lot of profit to be made for the people that are early and prepared for this. So for today's video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what I think this breakout means, what the price of Bitcoin is going to be doing over the next month, and how we can all go about trading it for the most profit possible. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to start off today's video, and this is going to get right into the shorter time frames, analyzing what I think is going to be happening from here after we had such a massive breakout to the upside. Now first things first guys, we did have such a big move off of the 618. That was the level that we've been watching for a long period of time now. I was talking about why I figured that this 618 Fibonacci was going to be the level that Bitcoin ended up bouncing from, and that's exactly what happened. We started to sell off, we came back down to this 618, retested this entire support cluster that we were in right over here, and then we instantly got our bounce that we were watching for. It happened quicker than I was anticipating, which told me that it didn't really change anything besides the fact that the market's just more bullish than I initially anticipated. And so as it stands, because we saw such a big breakout to the upside, a lot of people have been asking me, do I still think that we're going to see a big A, B, and then like a C like this? And the answer is no. If we were to see a wave B, generally this wave B would have stopped up here around the wave 3 highs, but the fact is we went all the way and actually broke out of the range highs over here. Now technically as it stands, we have closed back below these range highs, which tells me that there is a little bit of weakness, at least in the short term. But everything that we needed to see so far has happened. We got the buyback that we were watching for. The only real thing that changed was the fact that the buyback happened a lot quicker and was a lot bigger than I was anticipating. And so now that we're at this point, how do we play it from here? Well, to be honest, since I don't think that we're going to get any sort of deeper correction below where we already bottomed at, I think the best strategy from here is to play the bounces and play the pullbacks. That's going to be the big thing. Now, as you guys can see, this has been our resistance for a long time. It's been our resistance all the way taking place to the August of 2022. We came back up here and retested this level most recently in February. We once again rejected from it. And now with this buyback, we came up here once again to hit this level. In fact, we actually got outside of this level for a temporary period of time. But as you guys can see, the market ended up pulling back, and we've actually closed back below this resistance level. So this entire move, although it was a very big one, it still ended up closing below the August highs. So what that tells me is that in the short term, this is probably going to come back down a little bit, and I would imagine that we're going to get a pullback. So if we dive into the shorter time frames and talk about what's happening right here, we can pretty much see that even though we had a move outside of the August highs, we instantly pulled back within that same market structure, and as you guys can see right here, we've retested those and now we've rejected from that. And so I believe that we're due for a decent sized pullback. And really guys, when we're looking at this specific chart, I think that we're due a pullback also for another reason. Reason number one being the fact that we have a very clear 5 impulse waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we got 5 impulse waves out of this big breakout. So you would expect to see an ABC correction. And that's actually what this looks like perfectly. A, B, and it looks like we're going to get wave C that's going to take us back down to the 618 Fibonacci. Which, if we pull this all the way over here, the 618 is going to basically be right here in this range. I would say that's really the support level that I'd personally be watching for, and that's where I think that Bitcoin is going to ultimately come back down and correct onto. And so there will be an opportunity to get back into the market. There's an opportunity to look for new positions. If you were somebody that was accumulating throughout this dip and this breakout, there was a lot of altcoins that made big moves. A lot of those altcoins that made big moves are going to be pulling back onto trending support. So a lot of them broke down and had these big sell-offs when Bitcoin was pulling back here. Now, whichever ones broke out the hardest, whichever ones reclaimed bullish market structure, those are generally the ones that you want to focus on when the dip comes. Because here's the thing, we're expecting to see this one dip, pull back in here, do something like that. But then we're going to expect to see this thing most likely continue to break out from here. And that's kind of the way that I'm looking at the market. Because we never ended up seeing, a move upwards of 22.5 to 23,000 and then a pullback, because we saw such a big breakout, that tells me that this is most likely going to continue to trend higher. And so I do think that we're going to get a short-term pullback in here, take us back down to the 618, right around $22,500 or so. Could go as low as about 22 even. Somewhere right around there. Just this green entry box is what I'm watching for. I think we're going to get a pullback back down to this level, and that's really where you're going to be wanting to jump back into positions. For me, I find it likely that this correction is over, and we're most likely going to start the ascent to go up much higher from here. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be watching for moving forward with Bitcoin. And that's really what I think that everybody else should be at least looking for at the very least. I don't think you should be longing up here by any means. I think that the only thing we should really do is wait for this pullback, because that's a point where we can jump into new long positions, we can deploy our cash, we can buy back into the altcoins that we're watching, and that's what I think is going to be the safest strategy. A lot of people ended up buying up here at the top, and it's kind of interesting to me because this top perfectly coincided with our resistance that we've had up in here. And what's also interesting is the fact that even when we topped up here, we ended up seeing us actually tag this resistance level inside of the OBV. So when the OBV came up here and tagged and technically made a lower high, and the price went all the way up here and then closed below the August highs, that told me that this is going to end up pulling back. So I think we're going to pull back here, go back down to the 618, and then we can start the ascent higher. Because here's the thing, we really don't have any resistance left. Once we can actually find support here, if we prove that we're going to actually end up finding support like I think we will, then at that point, that'll set us up for the next leg up into the cycle. But here's the thing, guys, there really isn't any resistance throughout basically this entire consolidation. The second that we can actually get above this, at that point, that's where I think that we're going to pretty much just have free skies above till we pretty much hit 30K. And I find it likely that out of this move, we'd probably go to around $32,000. And so that's kind of the thing that I'm watching for with Bitcoin, at least in the short term. Once we do actually flip this resistance level, like I said, I think it'd be something like this. Then at that point we can get this clean break above, and I think that's going to be a pretty massive move coming. And here's the thing, guys, because if we are able to actually break out of this resistance, finally get above those August highs, I think that the move coming is going to be it's going to be a little bit bigger than people anticipate. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that what we're looking at is more of a minimum target in my eyes would be around 35K, so all the way up here. That's kind of where I think that the market would be heading in the short term if we can finally get above the August highs, because this is a pretty long consolidation. We've been here for a long period of time now, from over here in June all the way to where we're at today. It's been over 270 days. So I do think that once we can finally flip this range as support, then we're probably going to get a bigger move to the upside. And I think that that's really what changed with my trading plan, because you guys already know I was expecting that this was topped, then we'd go through some type of consolidation like this, come back down here, bounce, and then go for one more final low like this. That's what I was watching for, but the fact that we went down, hit my targets, but then bounced so much quicker than I was expecting and had such a bigger move to the upside, that told me that most likely this market's going to go up higher than I was anticipating. And so if what we're looking at here is a breakout of basically a year-long range, I don't think that we're just going to hit 30K and then pull back. I think it would most likely have a decent-sized move to the upside. And it could go higher than 35K, guys. We really don't know. What I've talked to you guys a little bit about is how this market structure right here looks quite a bit compared to what we saw down in here in the last bull market, where we went through a few months of consolidation, and then we got our first breakout right here. And we kind of went through that same consolidation. Get these couple fake outs, and then that led us for a pretty massive move off of those accumulation lows. So if we're watching something similar play out once again here for Bitcoin, it's hard to say how high it's going to go, but if we do follow anything similar to what we saw in that last cycle, then that thing went all the way up to the 618, which is going to be about $48,000. I don't find it likely that that would be the scenario, and I'm not betting on it by any means. But when we were talking about a year-long range and then a breakout of that range, I find it likely that we would go to probably around this 382, and it could go to the 0.5. We really don't know, but That's what the market told me when we got such a big breakout. It told me that the market can actually go a little bit higher than we're anticipating because there's still a ton of buy support. And with this being at the very earliest stage of the new bull trend, this is the point where you can see a lot of big impulsing actually happen. And so I'm not really trying to underestimate it by any means. I'm just simply looking to play this little dip. I'm going to be jumping back into new positions on this dip. And so if you guys do want to follow what leverage positions I'm taking, what altcoins I'm looking to buy back into, what I'm looking to re-add to those same positions I've been holding, then you got to join the Discord server. Links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up on my website. But I mean, this is what we're seeing, at least in the short term for Bitcoin. I think that we're going to see, the short-term pullback. That will be the opportunity to get back into new positions. But I mean, what's interesting is we've seen all of this stuff happening. Bitcoin's actually holding really great support. But with the SPX, it's actually gone back below resistance. And we can see that we technically rejected off of this descending resistance and we're back within it. So technically we're back under resistance, and this is all kind of following itself when we have all of the FUD around the banks. The banks are collapsing, all of this stuff. But what I find is really interesting is the fact that what we see with Bitcoin is it actually broke out. So even though I expect a short-term pullback, the SPX has pulled back. It hasn't held support as well as I thought it would. But what we're actually seeing is the gold markets, precious metals, and commodities, they're breaking out. If we look at gold on a bigger time frame, gold's literally about to go into price discovery here, and gold's about to make a massive, massive breakout. We can see it consolidating right here on top of the previous highs as support, and it's literally about to leave those highs right now. And so we're looking at a massive commodity bull run, and it's interesting that as gold has done really well and it's held great support, as the SPX has actually shown weakness, Bitcoin is synced up a little bit more closely with the precious metals, which is what we want to see. If all the banks are collapsing like we've seen, banks are down atrocious today. If we're seeing the banks go down, generally speaking, up to this point, we've been following the stock market, Bitcoin has. So if we're seeing banks starting to collapse around us, starting to fall apart, have liquidity issues, and yet Bitcoin is breaking out from that point and syncing up a little bit more closely related with precious metals, that is a very, very bullish sign. And so even though Bitcoin itself and gold have never really correlated, I've always viewed that gold itself and Bitcoin would really correlate at some point, because that's what Bitcoin is. It's digital gold. That's really the way that it's going to be viewed. Bitcoin is a commodity, so you would expect it to tag along with the commodity markets. And I think that as we get more adoption, that will be the likely scenario. It's just the fact that we're still in a pretty we're in an infant time. We're in the infancy of crypto and Bitcoin. It's still viewed as a risk-on investment, but now that we're seeing the banks starting to show more risk, we're starting to see the cracks starting to show inside of the banking industry, which have already been showing really since 2008. If what we're seeing is all of those cracks starting to show, and then Bitcoin's actually performing well with gold, then that's a very bullish sign, and I think that it's something we should pay attention for going into this next cycle. Overall, I think that the stock market will probably end up bottoming. It's just going to chop around this level, maybe have a quick fake out below. But regardless, I do think that the stock market's probably going to trend up. But what's interesting here is regardless of all of that, we are seeing Bitcoin doing well. So it'll be interesting to see how we hold support inside of this pullback. But if we can hold support and get that next leg up, it's going to be very interesting to see if it's following along with gold or if it's following along with the SPX, if the SPX ends up getting a little buy support. Because this is a very bullish sign that hasn't happened before. So I did want to spend a couple minutes actually sharing with you guys this little thing, talking about why I think that Bitcoin could actually sync up with the commodity markets. And if that's the case, expect a huge bull run for Bitcoin, because that'll really cement Bitcoin as being a store of value, being something that people can invest in for the long term and not have it be viewed as such a risky asset. So anyways, guys, this is the video I had for you. If you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these updates. If you guys want to join the Discord server, if you guys want to follow all these trades, if you guys want to see how I'm trading the markets, what I'm buying, what I'm leverage trading, all the NFT picks, anything like that, you guys can actually sign up on my website and join my private Discord group, and from there you're going to be able to get access to all of that stuff. On top of that, you guys can DM me, you guys can ask other members questions inside of the members chat area, and so it's just a great opportunity to learn and grow from each other, and that's really why I made it. And so if you guys want, help with trading, you guys want to ask me specific questions about trading, and you guys want to follow what I'm doing with my money in the markets, links are in the description. Go ahead and sign up. Thank you guys so much for the support. I look forward to watching the markets take off, and we really just see what you guys are able to create out of it. The markets look so bullish from my end, and it gives me a lot of confidence that you guys are going to be able to make a lot of profit, because we are at the very ground floor of all of this stuff right before the whole thing explodes. So I look forward to seeing what you guys are able to do with all of this. It's going to be a really exciting time ahead. Thank you all so much for the support, and with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.